Yeah. First of all, on behalf, يعني بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله, on behalf of Construction Engineering and Management Department, I am blessed to welcome you all to this forum entitled The Future of Saudi Construction Industry. As you know, the construction industry play a major role in driving economic growth and has a direct impact on Saudi GDP. The Saudi Arabian construction market is expected to witness significant growth and over lucrative potential due to its Vision 2030. Today, we are honored that a list of professors who are experts in the construction and project management are here to talk about the future of the Saudi construction. Mostly the floor is yours, yes.
Assalamu alaikum, friends and colleagues.
Alaikum salam.
It's great to be with you. And also, it's a great privilege of mine to be the last presenter today because now I have the opportunity to tie everything together in a way that we can understand how we're going to provide these goods and services that have been presented to us. Are you able now to see my presentation or just me?
Yes, we can see your presentation.
Zane. Okay, so let's get started. Simply stated, a contract is a risk allocation tool. It assigns risk to the parties of the contract. Today's contracts, as we've learned so far, can be very simple, from maybe a villa, or they can be very complex to even building whole cities. Today, companies spend a large portion of their time and resources extracting information, reviewing that information, analyzing that data from their contracts and other legal documents. Many of these contracts are very long and very complex. For example, contracts that I'm currently working on have between 1,300 and 1,500 pages just for the contract, not to state the specifications and all the additional information that goes along with that contract. Tens of thousands of pages of correspondence throughout the life cycle of a contract is very commonplace. To go through manually this process is both tedious and error prone, leaving companies open to financial and legal risks. Artificial intelligence may be defined as the capability of a computer to perform operations similar to learning and decision-making in humans. Artificial intelligence helps the computer or the machine learn from experience and then adjust to new inputs, similar to the way that humans perform these tasks. If you recall, Saudi Arabia led the way in granting Sophia citizenship in 2017. You remember Sophia is artificial intelligence robot. Contrasted now with other industries, the construction industry typically lags behind in technological progress. Excuse me. Now, progress has been being made recently. We have semi-autonomous equipment. We have autonomous equipment, meaning there's not an operator sitting on the bulldozer or the motor grader as it does its work. Semi-autonomous will be like machine and human working together. Staffing challenges, craft challenges, the declining population or pool of craftsmen, skilled labor, as well as construction professionals, is forcing the construction industry to be disrupted, to change the way that we think in the built environment. Currently, personnel in the construction professional depends on specific skills that they've developed either through studying at the university or on-the-job training, particular practices, and judgment based on experience. These type skills are difficult to replicate and digitize. But one area that is relatively easy to digitize is procurement. And when I mean procurement, I'm saying that's a purchase order as well as a contract. Because in fact, if it's just a purchase, well, I say just, if it's a purchase order for materials, it is indeed a contract by definition. So that's what I mean by procurement. Now, let's talk a bit about smart contracts. Smart contracts are immutable and distributed. Those are the two aspects. Immutable means it cannot be changed by one party alone. And distributed means it's in a network of personnel and multiple people will have access to and be able to review the contract at the same time in real time. So one party can't change or tamper with the contract without everyone knowing it. So who are the people in this network? Well, the owner probably has multiple reviewers of a contract throughout the life cycle. The architect engineer office or the project engineer will have multiple reviewers. And of course, the contractor will have multiple people that are, performing the contract will be reviewing and using this contract. So you may have several people that can have access to this contract at the same time. So let's say, for example, a contractor wants to file a pay application or an invoice. Well, these multiple people can review and validate that invoice all at the same time. They can certify it. The digital handshake that's provided by these smart contracts creates a shared trust among these stakeholders. That's because everybody sees it at the same time, and you know that it's immutable, that nobody can alter the contract without everybody agreeing on those alterations. Here's one example. Do I believe that smart contracts that are automated, totally automated without human interface are going to appear in Saudi Arabia at first? I do not. I would say that we are going to probably see clauses or smart clauses in a contract. So that, what I mean by that is we could automate payments, okay? They could be milestone based. We talked earlier about digitization, about pictures, videos, taking progress photos can be done daily. It can be done with drones. They can be done with stationary cameras located strategically around the project. Well, AI, artificial intelligence, and machine learning can compare those photographs and see how much progress is made. And we'll talk a little bit further about building information modeling, which has been presented by Dr. Ayad earlier. That can compare those photographs or those progress videos with that model and verify if the milestone has been met or if a project event has been accomplished or met. And then that would start the pay application process, or the invoice could be verified and paid. That's something that we could automate pretty easily, I think. They can track all these invoices through the payment process. There are companies that have, excuse me, and studies that have indicated that when they do audits, there are multiple invoices for the same work, especially on a large complex project. That can lead to waste, to fraud, abuse. This way, the machine doesn't transpose numbers. It doesn't make mistakes. It carries through and tracks those invoices from when it's received all the way through when it's paid, and then it's archived. It increases the accuracy. Payments can be made quicker. I think the law now states in Kingdom that payments must be made within 3 months, which still seems to be a little bit long. There are others here in the US. It's very common in construction contracts to have payments made in 30 days. As we discussed a little bit earlier, I think it perhaps was Dr. Muhammad that presented automation of ordering materials. You could have limits, on your construction site. You can have maximum and minimum warehouse limits for lumber, so to speak. And when you've used lumber and it's approaching the minimum, then this smart contract can automatically place an order to replace the lumber that's being used, as well as keep check on the activities and forecast through predictive forecasting, how much lumber has been used, how much needs to be used. The sky is the limit, as we've said already today. Tracking and documenting deliverables. Now, when we're talking about deliverables, I mean, these are contract deliverables such as submittals, material submittals, shop drawings, detailed drawings, all manner of digital submittals can be made. The smart contract can analyze those, compare them to the standards. Did they meet the Saudi building code, which Dr. Ali addressed today? These are all sources of information that this smart contract can pull in as resources, okay? And verify and check that all of these contract requirements have been met before payment is made. We can record and monitor events, transmittals, visibility and transparency to all the stakeholders and those that are party to the contract, for example, can be done with a dashboard. So management can very quickly see how we're performing on the contract. What's the health of the project? It can be verified. You can verify that where are we in our submittals? Are we behind? Are we ahead? How many have been rejected? Why were they rejected? What do we need to do to improve? We spent some time today discussing building information modeling. These are resources that would feed into the smart contract, the schedule, the three-dimensional drawings, the cost, the as-built information, all 7D are the 7 dimensions that we're currently looking at in the BIM, or the building information modeling. I think Dr. Ayad presented that one. Wonderful, excellent input. All these things now will feed into our contract. All this information will be tied together and will help us to perform the contract better, more efficiently, more smoothly, more quickly, with fewer errors. Now, there is the notion of an automatically generated contract. My research suggests that 70% of the large law firms in the United States and in England use automatically generated contracts, computer generated contracts. They input certain parameters of the project, And the machine, the output will be a model contract based on current laws, based on current risks, input, terms and conditions are selected based on the input parameters that go into this model. This is something that could happen very quickly in Kingdom. And later on, I'll talk about some of the challenges that we would face in creating these type contracts. Contracts can automatically be executed. That's what we talked about just above. As we're performing the contracts, these could be done automatically, even to the fact without human intervention. That's kind of the end product. We're not there yet. This whole notion of AI and smart contracts is still in its infancy, but it's coming fast. We can also see where the supply chain is and is not working for the overall project. For example, we talked a little bit about operation and maintenance. If you're performing building maintenance and you have some regularly scheduled preventative maintenance on, let's say, the air conditioning equipment, geofencing, you can tell when a subcontractor or contractor shows up to do that preventative maintenance. You know how long the technician is on site performing that maintenance. Through stationary cameras, you could document that he changed the filters, that he checked the refrigeration levels and things of that nature. Also through other Internet of the IoT, Internet of Things monitors, you can check the refrigeration levels and pressures and temperatures of that nature. You can also tell when the technician leaves the site. So when the invoice comes in and the maintenance company says, our technician spent 10 hours doing the preventative maintenance, when your record, your smart contract says, well, he was only there for 5 hours, then you can challenge the contractor and say, well, that doesn't match with our records show. So there, again, verification, geofencing, that technology is here. It's being used. Sourcing materials is another area. I know Saudi Aramco has a whole unit that source materials and suppliers and contractors. This is something that can be automated with relative ease. The AI, artificial intelligence, can be out there combing the internet on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, gathering information, feeding it back to the humans that are going to have to, use their intellect to review what's been scavenged up by these computers. But you put the necessary parameters in. You say, I want the Saudi building code, you reference it, or I want an ASTM code and you reference it, and you say, okay, I need some pipe. Then this AI smart contract can go out and do the sourcing and find the pipe that meets the specification on a global platform. Smart contracts, the benefits are risk assessment, track and measure the effects of late work or early work for that matter, accountability, fraud, abuse, compliance checks, procedures, completing, competitive bidding can be done, benchmarking internally with your own company or against other companies, audits. These type things are easily digitized. We talked a bit about construction analytics already today, but we can also analyze the terms and conditions of the contract. Were those T's and C's effective? Did they correctly apportion the risk to the different participants in the contract? We can look at revenue analysis. profit margin analysis, cost analysis, any kind of project anomalies. Now, when we talk about anomalies, those are occurrences that weren't planned for. And I don't know about you, but I have never worked on nor heard of a project that has gone exactly as planned. And so there's always going to be changes. These changes sometimes lead to disagreements, which lead to claims. These type things can be analyzed. It can be accredited, operational efficiency, accelerated. Now, looking to the future, integrated technology powered by AI is truly a disruptive realm, especially in construction. Ideas that seem to be so far in the future have now become reality. Owners and contractors both can benefit tremendously from adopting these systems that monitor and respond to information on a real-time basis. You will have this real-time information, and management will, before a decision needs to be made. Now, the challenges in looking ahead, without proper oversight, artificial intelligence could lead to unintended consequences, harmful consequences. There is no one solution that fits all, one size that fits all in mitigating risk allocation associated with contracts, period, but especially in artificial intelligence type contracts. Technology implementation with human characteristics will continue to shape our working environment. That is the future. The future is closing in on us very quickly. It is here in many aspects, but especially in construction. Now, one of the challenges is I am not familiar with any artificial intelligence platform that generates contracts written in Arabic. KFUPM have a whole department for computer science. I hope that and would challenge KFUPM to be a forerunner in the Arab nation, the Arab world, in developing contracts, smart contracts in Arabic. Most of the platforms and the computer languages that have been developed for smart contracts are around English language. So perhaps there is a language that convert real time from Arabic to English, or from English to Arabic, or just a straight Arabic platform for writing and generating contracts and executing contracts automatically. Now, I have to pause here for just a moment and share with you a kind of a funny story. When I wrote my thesis, Dr. Abdelaziz Boubsheikh was my thesis advisor. And one of the requirements is that you write the abstract of the thesis in Arabic. The rest of the thesis can be in English. Well, I wrote it in Arabic. I put it in Google Translate. I copied it, I pasted it onto the proper format, and I submitted it to Dr. Abdelaziz, who immediately asked me, did you use Google Translate to write this in Arabic? And of course, I had to look at my shoes and say, yes. He says, I'll get you some help. So we need to develop, Google Translate kind of gets the idea across, but when we're talking about contract language, it needs to be very exact. So this is one of the biggest challenges I see facing in the Arabic world. We already talked about smart clauses versus smart contracts. I see that as the first step. Perhaps you're thinking, oh, this is going to put people out of work, but not necessarily. In my experience, anytime a new process, a new computer process has been initiated, it creates more jobs than it does away with. Now, yes, the repetitive work, excuse me, where humans make mistakes will probably be replaced, but those people can be retrained and repurposed where human cognitive skills are applied. So the machine is going to produce a contract. The human is going to review it and say, yeah, that's going to work, or no, that's not going to work so well. We need to refine it and change it. I see artificial intelligence is one of construction's new frontiers. We need to embrace it. Now, let me put a plug in for a Center for Contracting Studies. I would foresee something like this being developed, or I hope to see something developed at KFUPM or in the general area. The results from a May 2018 study conducted at Aramco concluded that there is a large knowledge gap between technical and contract administration skills. The findings are that the professionals, especially the construction professionals in the Eastern Province, are very well known for their strong technical knowledge, for accounting, for engineering, for supply chain management, other areas of endeavor. But it's also well known that contract interpretation is not taught in university curriculum, unless you're going to Prince Muhammad University and you're a law student. So there is a widespread lack of understanding of construction contracts that has been observed in the kingdom. This is a topic that is well studied. We need to close that gap. That is something I would say is first and foremost in my mind that would help to raise and maintain the awareness of new areas that are being developed in acquisition of goods and services. It will provide better contract documents. It will reduce claims. It will reduce disagreements if we can better understand contracts, because most of the people that administer contracts globally are engineers, architects, people that have been trained and are very good at technical skills. But there's a very few that have been trained in contracts, contract interpretation, and administration of contracts. This is a number one concern of mine, not only in the Eastern Province, but across the country. This Center for Contract Studies would help close that gap. It would also provide a platform for annual contract law and policy forum. The contract laws are changing very rapidly in Kingdom, as well as we see the code requirements are changing as well. The rest of this, it's a platform for KFUPM CII to present learning and studies. The instructors for this Contracting Center for Studies could come from industry, from government, from law offices, from other universities. And of course, the results of this would be higher quality contracts. Certifications can come out of this so that you know what level of contract administrator you have, and ultimately reduce corporate risk to disputes, claims, and lawsuits. And with that, I would love to entertain any questions, any comments that you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Mosley, for the excellent presentation. If you have any question for attendees, if you have any question, please write your question or comment in the Q&A box. طبعا, if you have any question regarding to the last two presentations, Dr. Muhammad and Dr. Mosley. We have a question mostly What are the name of systems using smart contract in USA? Is it implemented here in KSA?
You know, this is a critical question. And forgive me, I'm Sheba, and I have forgotten the name of the platform. There is a specific platform and a specific software language that has been developed for the implementation of smart contracts. It is primarily for English contracts. I'm not aware that it's being used in Kingdom because it's primarily targeted at for English language. But I will get you an answer and provide it in this forum. Thank you for asking that question.
Thank you, Rusty. Other questions, Shabab, or comments regarding the last two presentations? Dr. Mansour.
Yes, Dr. Hassan.
Yeah, do you have anything to say or?
I would like to thank all of the guest speakers for joining us. And I'd like to thank all of the participants for joining us too. And maybe one question for mostly about the smart contracts. So do you believe there is an overlap between a smart contract and the blockchain technology that have been published or used recently?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, smart contracts is built on the blockchain. That's what makes it distributable and immutable. You know, that's the very foundation is the blockchain. And that's what also makes it very secure. So thank you. That's a critical question.
So So what do you think the practical challenges that are confronting decision makers in Saudi, so we can maybe develop some practical research articles about these kinds of challenges?
Excellent question. You know, I know that Saudi Aramco is studying the blockchain for implementation, and but I don't know the status of what those research studies are. But I would say, you know, developing a programming language that will read Arabic, if that's not already in the works. I would also encourage research into the field of smart contracts and applying them in Arabic, as well as, you know, you could help lead the world in smart contracts in English, but integrating all those dimensions we talked about and pulling all that information into that smart contract is another research area that I would recommend. For example, it may not just be the building information modeling where there's so much information. It could be weather data, you know, because there are laws governing how warm it can be before you can, you know, before you stop work. There could be claims and disputes for severe and unusual weather that is defined by the contract or defined by law. And so if you have this weather data that's in real time being pulled into the smart contract, this contract can analyze that and very quickly say, well, no, you know, it wasn't severe and unusual. You know, you should have planned for high winds or rain and things of that nature. So I would say starting now to start thinking forward to how to implement these smart contracts, little by little. I would say smart clauses first. And, you know, just pulling these bits of information from all over. There's study, I know KFUPM, some of the professors have been studying smart sensory for safety, where they have sensors, wearable sensors, and things of that nature. All this can feed into contract requirements. So that's my vision for the future of construction in Kingdom. The FIDIC, I see this. We have in the chat column, we have a question about the FIDIC contracts. Most excellent question. And actually, I wanted to address that, but due to time limitations, I didn't. I think, FIDIC is a good place to start because so many of our contracts in Kingdom are based on the FIDIC. We could probably springboard off of other nations, or even the FIDIC itself may be converting these to smart contracts or having smart clauses from the FIDIC. And I think what makes it particularly adaptable is it's a standard form of contract. So it's not an ad hoc or just, you didn't just go out and hire a law firm to write a construction contract for you, ad hoc, one at a time. FIDIC is more, it's a standard form of contract. So I would think that would be a great research topic as well. Great question, thank you. Okay, there's another question it seems here. Can we consider the professional indemnity insurance one of the requirements for any, that's a PMO contract. Absolutely, absolutely. That is one of the advantages to these smart contracts are you can feed those indemnity clauses and insurance clauses into your smart contract. They can be verified and validated electronically. The contract or can do it itself. Are the necessary limits of liability included? Are the terms of the insurance included that meet the contract requirements? You're just comparing. Right now, you have humans, they read the insurance policy, they read the contract. Does it meet the contract requirements? Does it meet the law? Yes, no. Or, so the machine can do that, I think, very quickly. Very good question. Thank you. That goes for financing as well. Do you have a bank guarantee? When does it expire? What are the limits of that guarantee? Is it sufficient? All these risk based questions can very, very quickly, at the speed of light almost, be answered by a smart contract. So very good.
Another question, Mr. Austin. What types of conflicts that may arise in the construction industry related to the implementation of smart contract in Saudi Arabia? And if there are any.
Super question. Even if we had 1,000 lawyers or 1,000 smart computers generating a contract, there will always be something. There's not a perfect contract. So there will always be something that will be missed, will be left out. There will always be a different interpretation of a contract term or a condition. So there will always be disagreements. I think that, construction contracts are full of uncertainty and full of risk. And so there are two things in my mind that are certain. There will be changes and there will be disagreements. I don't think we're going to get away from disagreements. Now, when a disagreement does arise, or a different interpretation of the same contract or contract term, already law firms are using artificial intelligence and a machine-assisted review of contract documents, electronic review of documents, because in a claim condition, there are tens of thousands of pages to go through. Think about how many electronic emails you write. Think about how many letters, how many drawings, everything on a project, especially on the magnitude of projects in Saudi Arabia. There are tens of thousands of pages. Normally, you hire junior lawyers to sit there and read, paralegals and junior lawyers, every page. They highlight words. They put a sticky note on the side of the document. Your machine can do this super quick. I mean, in seconds, that will take months. Think of the cost savings that you can have as a company. For example, the lawyers that I'm currently working with are billing between $1,300 and $1,500 an hour. So think of you've got a machine that does this in minutes versus, a $500 or $1,000 an hour lawyer plowing through that. Now, perhaps you're also thinking about what are some of the legal challenges? What is, like Sophia, what responsibility does Sophia have as a Saudi citizen? Okay. Does she pay zakat? Does she what? So those are all questions that remain unanswered in my mind, but need to be addressed. And as this technology improves, we'll have to address those questions. Who has the liability? A machine generated this contract. Well, who has the liability of that contract? Is it collective? Is it shared? These are all questions, again, that could be researched and studied. But excellent question. Thank you for asking. Okay.
This question is for Rusty. How can we secure the process of automatic payment in smart contract?
Okay, this is part of the blockchain technology, which is secure. It's very difficult right now because there's not. It's difficult to change the contract or to commit fraud. Or like theft or something of that nature, because it's distributed. It's not one computer. It's distributed among all the computers on the network. And again, that network might be, the architect engineer office, the owner's office, the contractor's office. So now you have a minimum of 3 offices, and it's distributed equally among them. And everybody has visibility. They can see all the information and the contract. So that makes it more difficult to hack into one. You might hack into one, but you're not going to hack into all 3. Now, having said that, I'm very sure that there are bad actors all over the world trying to defeat the blockchain. That just seems to be the nature of humanity. But you look at things like Bitcoin. Bitcoin is based on blockchain, and these other banking institutions are really looking into Bitcoin. So those 2 aspects, I think, makes this contract more secure and less likely to be tampered with. So does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mosley.
It's my great pleasure.